How's it going, Patreon? Next couple of days, you're going to be getting tons of content. Today's first piece of content is all about lighting. I'm going to show you 7 setups here that'll give you really good lighting on your subject. Now, it doesn't have to be a humanoid character. It can be, several objects on the ground that you're trying to light. In this case, I'm just using a subject. This is really great for if you're making characters and you're like, hey, why does my character look terrible when I render it? Well, if you have bad lighting, a great character in bad lighting is not so great of a character anymore. So lighting is super, super important. What I'm going to show you is these 7 different setups that are perfect and are really going to take your character to the next level. So with that being said, let's get into it. Now, I'm going to be rendering these in cycles. So first off, this one is very basic, very easy, but if you have something that you're trying to get very even lighting on, notice we can still see character with shadow here. We're not making it completely flat, but we're trying to get even lighting. Now, let me show you where those lights are actually located. Those lights are located, if we can just kind of hide the camera here, right in front of it, one here at kind of a 45 degrees, something like that. But we have these 2 very big, keep that in mind, the size of your light matters, pretty big box lights in a sense that are very flat, very soft, giving your character a very soft look. That is one of the easiest and best ways to do it. Now say, hey, I want more lighting up here at the top. All you would do is just get another area light and put it up there. These guys are at a strength of 50. That being, this is a fairly small scene. Everything's scaled to about a degree of 5. And this is white, so it's going to catch light differently. But keep both of your lights at the same brightness. That's super important. All right, now we're going to get into more visually interesting scenes. Now this one, I can't remember if I said it, but you'll be getting all of these setups so you can kind of reference them, look at them, and play with them. Here we go, the next one. So first I'm just going to... So here we go. This one is very moody, very striking and weird. This is another great one for portraits. So we're going to get into kind of the special settings that are in our area lights. If you've never really played with them, except just kind of pulled them out and put up a power lighting on it, then you're not really going to notice some really cool features that come with our area lights. So we have this area light. What I'm going to do is actually create this from scratch to really show you some cool settings you can do to manipulate the lighting on your area lights. I'm just going to delete that and then Shift A, light, and area. Area lights are my favorite. They're the most useful in my opinion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the flat view and hit the tilde key, which is right above the tab key for me. And I'm going to go to the front so that I can kind of get it to the height that I want it to be. And then up here, tilde key, go to the top. I'm hitting G again. And then now I'm going to go ahead and hit R twice just to kind of point it. And then it's kind of close for me. So we're going to bring it back. The distance from your character is also very important. So let's get into some area light settings. Right over here, if you click on your area light, click on the little green light bulb, right here on square, I'm actually going to change that to disk, especially if you have a glossy material. If you can see the shape of your light, then the shape of your light is going to matter. Sometimes you want it to be circular because that really speaks to reflections a little bit better. They look more smooth and round shapes, and your reflections are much nicer looking. In this case, we're not doing gloss, but just something to note. All right, so let's hit 0 to go to my camera view, and we're going to go to the render view, and we have really soft lighting. So what I'm going to do here, the reason why it's soft is because we're using an area light. Area lights by default are inherently soft lighting, which is also really nice to look at, but we want kind of harsh, a little bit more harsh here. So what we're actually going to play with is beam shape. Right here you have spread. If you bring that spread down, it's going to get lighter, it's going to get brighter, but also what we're going to be seeing here is if we get really low, it's going to get very striking. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit G to move my light up so that we can play with where it stops, that shadow there. And now we have this incredibly nice gradient. And bring that spread up just a little bit maybe. Bring that up some more. So that it's not quite such a harsh shadow. But we have very striking lighting now on our character, and it gradients out. It's super noisy. I'm just going to render it so it smooths out just a little bit for us. And there we go. That is a really nice way to render out a character. Now, one of the reasons why it looks so nice is because see how it's fading out here at the bottom? It kind of gives us a resolution rather than, like, it gives us a way to end what we're looking for rather than just a straight cut off where it ends. you actually have a reason. It's almost like if you're an editor and you need like a fade to the next clip. It's kind of like that. So you just have this gradient, so it's not taking our eyes down here. It keeps it all centered here. Really harsh shadow, really soft shadow. You have that contrast. You have color contrast. It's a really nice way to get your character to look really interesting and really striking. If you have like kind of a menacing kind of evil character, it's perfect lighting for that. All right, on to the next one here. So we'll go to setup number 3. So this one is really fun and it's very useful as well. So what we're working with here is 2 area lights, a really big one and a smaller one with different strengths. Now the reason why this one's important, because what's going to happen, what we're seeing here is much brighter light here and a slightly darker light here. So you're seeing everything's filled out, but when you're lighting something, you want it to look interesting. I mean, the first one was perfectly flat lighting, and there's reasons why you'd want to use that, which is why I added it. But here, you want to have interesting lighting. It's all, whenever all the lights are the same strength, it's actually pretty boring. So in this case, we have brighter here, darker here, making it interesting. And then we have the light here, which is a little bit smaller, and the light here, which is really big. The bigger the light, the softer lighting fills out the scene, because what happens is here is what we have is a pretty moody light here, moody lighting, and it's pretty bright. It's nice, but say, hey, I don't like how dark this is. I like the fact that this is lit this way, but I don't want this to be so dark. Well, you'll incorporate another light to fill that out, but it's not overtaking the fact that we have this really nice bright light here, kind of showing us shape, showing us shadow, showing us figure, and it's really nice. So that is that lighting setup. It's really fun. It's really easy to implement and super versatile. So this one's really cool. You get a nice rim light in a sense. Once we render this out to kind of show it how it looks, we have shadow, darkness here, and then very bright on all the edges to show you those back edges, those back figure shapes here. The way that's done is to get 2 lights. It's kind of the opposite of the first setup. So if we were to look at the back here, it'd be boring, nice, smooth, overblown lighting. So if we go here to the front, we have that, and it's pretty bright as well. So if you have these 2 lights, both kind of the same inverted, so one here, and then what's really fun is you can actually get into, if you wanted to introduce some color, like that, and we get the other area light, and make it kind of purple. It's kind of like a Curtis Holt vibe, but super cool, very neon looking, very interesting, and I think it's a very fun one to do to kind of show your figure what's going on, and it's really nice. Let's go to setup number 5, which I accidentally titled number 6. So we're gonna go here, click render, and now this one's similar to a couple of the other ones we've shown. It's very basic in the beginning. So we have a light here and a light here. What it's giving us is a really bright highlight here, here, and here. And you might think, well, just take it off. It doesn't seem to be doing much. And this is sort of a lesson in subtlety. What it's doing is it's subtly almost changing it completely with that one bright light at the back. And what we did for that light was we played with that spread, because that spread naturally is like 120, something like that. I don't know what it is. But what that spread is doing is it's extremely bright. As you can see, it's completely blowing out what we're doing, because what it's only going to do is show corner here and at the head. And what that's going to give us is a really cool highlight on our figure, specifically up here. That's where our eyes want to go if we're talking about a humanoid figure or something like that. So if we render it out to kind of see how we're working with this, it's a really nice look with that highlight right there. And I bet if I put the glare node on there, you'd get this glare on that highlight and look even cooler. So we have it evenly lit here, very plain. So we can have some shadow here and here, super bright light on the back with a low spread, and you get a nice lighting setup. Now let's get number 7, which technically should be number 6. So that's my bad. Here we go in the last one. So this one is kind of similar to the first, I mean, not the first one, but I think the second one, except in this case, it's really simple on the lighting. And again, we're trying to get a striking, moody look. We're not gradienting it here. What we're trying to do is get a lot of drama, very dramatic lighting, very contrasted lighting here, on the direct side. And in this case, I put the figure kind of looking at a 45. So we have the light hitting it, bam, right there, having this lens right here, which let me talk about lens in a second. And then we have a really dramatic lighting. We have a fairly hard edge on the shadow. And this is just, again, another version of sorry, I can't speak today, of lighting setup number 2. This is a little more basic than it, but giving you another option, another creative way to show really dramatic, like if you have like a menacing character, perfect for this, different stuff like that. Now, one thing I want to mention here on your camera, very important if you're doing portraits, and that's your focal length. If you click on the camera, click on the little green camera icon, you have your focal length. Typically, it's at 50 millimeters, which is also still really good for portraits. Let me show you what's bad, and that'd be like a 35. If we zoom in here on a 35, it's not that cool, especially if we're trying to get close-ups here on a 35 millimeter lens here. We have that. Let me show you how this would look with an 85 millimeter, same setup. 85, then we'll zoom it out. Same setup, but it looks a lot better, and that's because it's got a tighter focal length. It's flattening things out. It's not bowing it out in a fisheye. It's hard to really see, but if you compare them side to side, this one would look a lot better if we're talking about portrait photography. Smaller focal lengths are better for taking shots of environments, interiors, different things like that, because you could see everything. In this case, we're centered on one point, one person. Getting that 85 millimeter focal length is a much better way to go. With that being said, that is the lighting tutorial here for Patreon. I appreciate you guys supporting me, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Again, if you guys want to download these lighting setups, they're available on Patreon. Thank you guys for watching.